Sure you want to be live? You sure you want to go on the air?
And here we are.
Hey, welcome. Anybody there yet?
Not yet.
We're live.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, I'm Thomas Michaud and my co-host Ami Fields.
Hey, hey.
We're going to jam today. This is the our Real Guitar Success Live for the month of February, the first Thursday of every month. Today, what we normally do for anybody that's new is we'll do a short training, then we'll answer questions. I'll ask for some wins. Be thinking about that ahead of time, or type any wins that you've had this week in your guitar lessons. Anything to do with guitar, I'd love to hear about. Go ahead and type them in the chat field if you're here live with us. And then at the end, I'll also give away an Amazon gift card for everyone who has entered the drawing for this month. And you enter by completing all the practice sessions for the month of January in this case. So let's go ahead and get started. Anybody there? Give me a shout out. Hi, something.
Don't see anyone yet.
Are we starting early?
No, 12:01.
Looks good. Okay, so today's training, I want to go over how to use bass notes to enhance your strumming and your strumming patterns. And Ami is going to be a student today.
I'm gonna try.
We're going to start simple, and then I'll add some more details to it as we go along. So let's start off with some very simple chords. We're going to start off with 3 basic chords just to use as a model: the G chord, the C chord, and the D chord. Now, first, let me make sure you know how to finger these chords. I'm using my 2nd, 3rd, and pinky to finger the G chord. You can do it like this if that's what you're most comfortable with, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fingers. I'm going to do it this way. For me, it's a little better because it's easier to get to the C chord from here. There's less movement than having to switch everything around. Plus, later on, I'm going to do some bass runs, and I need the fingers available. But you can do it, just have to switch everything around when you change. And if you're comfortable here and you've never done this, it's probably best to at least start out here, and you could always try to integrate this form of the G. So to do this form, you do the 3rd finger on 3rd fret, 6th string, 5th string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, and the pinky over here on the 1st string, the high E string, the 3rd fret. All the other strings are open. Okay, for the C chord, I'm just going to move these 2 fingers, the 2nd and 3rd, over to the 5th string and 4th strings.
Same position?
Same position.
Oh.
The 3rd finger goes on the 3rd fret, 5th string. 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, 4th string. Now put the 1st finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret.
Got it.
That's your C.
Did it.
And if this is new, I would just practice that, the G to the C. C. Move these 2 fingers over and put the 1st finger down. Now to the D chord. I'm going to switch this up a little bit. These first 2 fingers are going to switch around and come to the 2nd frets on the 3rd string and the 1st string.
G on the ukulele.
Oh, and the 2nd string is the 3rd fret, 3rd finger.
Got it.
Got it. Okay, so we got G. Go ahead. C. And D.
For the D, we don't strum the low E string, right?
No, we're going to use the 4th string.
Got it.
Don't worry too much about the 6th and 5th strings, but if you do hit them by accident, it's not going to make a big fuss, but we're aiming towards the 4th and down.
Got it.
And when we get in the bass notes, I'll describe that more in more detail. So now, the simplest version, which we'll call this version number 1, is we're going to choose a bass note for each of these chords. We're going to choose what we call a root note. The root note means, one way to think about it is it's the name of the chord. If it's a G chord, it's going to be the G note. If it's a D chord, the D note. If it's a C chord, it's going to be a C note. So let's start with the G. The G note is going to be on the 6th string, 3rd fret. So it doesn't matter how you finger it, it's the same note. So you'd hit the bass note and then strum. Do do that 4 times in a row. By the way, she's using her fingers and I'm using a pick. Both work perfect. I am using the pick going down through the note to make a good solid sound, as opposed to picking out like this. That's too wimpy. We want a nice, good bass note. If I did my thumb, I'd do the same thing. I'd strum all the way through the note and actually hit the next string.
Yep.
Just slightly rest on for a millisecond. And then strum down. I actually like using my fingers, but we're doing 2 different things so you can see you can do it both ways. So let's do that 4 times.
Okay.
Ready, go. Bass, strum. Bass, strum. Bass, strum. Bass. Now to the C chord. We're going to use the 5th string for the bass note, and it's the 3rd fret. Okay, bass, 4 times. And now for the D chord, let's make the D chord. We're going to use that open D note, which is the 4th string. Good. Yes. Got it. And then we'll do the G again. Good. So the exercise looks like this. We'll try it together and I'll guide you through it. We're going very slow. We're going to do 4 Gs, 4 Cs, 4 Ds, and then 4 Gs, 4 bass notes.
Got it.
Ready, hit it. Bass, strum, bass, strum. Yes, good. Now to C. It's okay. I'm going to keep going. Just try to keep the tempo. D now, open D string. And now think ahead, G. Here we go. Open, G, 3rd fret. I realized something that I'm doing, that when I am using something like a bass strum, I'm often making sure I get the bass note first because I got a small fraction of a second to get the rest of the fingers down.
Oh.
So I'm making sure I get that bass note first and then pressing the rest of the strings down. It's just a small delay, but it's just enough time to let me get the rest of the fingers down. It's particularly important when you're doing more complex chords, where it takes a little bit to get the fingers, more so than the basic chords. So now, that's version 1, and I would encourage you, if that's where you're at, to practice just version 1. But I'm going to go ahead and take it up a notch to version 2. Now we're going to add what we call an alternating bass note. We're going to use that root note of the chord, G, but now we're going to add a 5th. One way to think about this is we just count up 5 notes. So G, A, B, C, D, that's 5. Now remember, we're using the musical alphabet, so it just cycles. When you get to G, there's no H, you start over on A. So G is 1, A is 2, B is 3, C is 4, and D is 5. D will be the 5th. D in this case will be the open D string. So I got a low G, which you've already got, and then the alternating will be the open D string. So it sounds like this. Bass, then the alternate, back to the root, and then the alternate. It's a very typical bass pattern and used in a lot of styles, especially, of course, country music and bossa nova and Latin styles. Let's start with 4 strums there. Ready, go. Bass, alternate bass. Yes. Good. That was an alternate of alternate.
alternate.
Now to the C. This is going to be a little tricky. Here's what we're going to do. We need G notes. C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G is the 5th.
Yep.
We want the 5th. And we're going to use the 5th on the low 6th string, 3rd fret. Watch this. We got a C note. Then to get the 5th, I'm going to move my 3rd finger over to the 6th string and press it down. Just in time, hit the bass note, then back to the C. So it sounds like this. Let's do it nice and slow.
So which one are you plucking for the first bass note?
Bass note, 5th string. That's the root.
Okay.
Now I stretch over to the 6th string and hit the 6th string. That's the 5th.
Do you keep it there for the strum?
What I actually do is I'm strumming beyond that. I'm not actually hitting this 5th string.
Oh. Oh.
And if I did, my left hand is slightly touching it so it doesn't sound.
Got it.
So you don't hear it when even if I strum all the way down. So C, now stretch over, alternate, and again back. Good. Now to the D. D note for the root, and we're going to go the open A, that's the 5th string. 5th string? That'll be, so you don't have to move anything. So start with a D, go. Now, yes. Now for the bass notes, you can get a little more bassy sound by instead of plucking out this way, pluck down like this. Yeah, like that. It's a little bassier. This is a technique, by the way. You'll see this a lot in mariachi music when they're playing the bass. They want that sound. They want to cut through. It has to cut through. It's acoustic. But it sounds a little more like a bass when you pluck straight down. So we're going to do the whole thing now. We'll start from the beginning.
Ooh, okay.
We'll go very slow.
All right.
Start with the G chord.
Give it a
And we'll
shot.
do alternate bass notes. I'll call them out.
Okay.
So G, here we go. G bass note, go. Bass, strum. Now the alternate. Back to bass. Root and the alternate. Good. Now to the C chord. Good. Alternate, move the 3rd finger over, yes. Now to the D chord. And back to the G.
There it is.
It's okay.
Got every string but the right one.
It takes practice. So that is version 2. We're doing an alternating bass note.
That's cool.
And again, if that's where you are and that's a stroke, I'd work on that because the next version is going to be an addition to that. So once you get that, it'll be easier to add a few bass runs. Let me show you what we're going to do now. I'm going to make the G chord and we're going to do that alternate. Instead of doing the last alternate, we're going to add some bass run notes. We call this a bass run. Notes connecting the chord. That's it. That's the whole exercise. So let's start with the G note. Let's just do the bass run for a minute. The bass run is going to be G note. You're going to open A, 2nd finger, that's a B note actually, 2nd fret, and then you make the C chord. So when you hit the C note, your fingers go down just slightly after to the C chord. And remember, you actually have a fraction of a second time to get the 1st and 2nd fingers down once you hit the bass note. So let's start with the G here, just the run. Start with the G note. G, open A.
Oh, open A. I was doing open E.
2nd fret, that's a B, and then make the C chord. So we're just going to do the bass run. Let's play the G chord, hit the bass and play the chord. Now we're going to do the run. Open A. Good. 3rd finger. One more time. G chord, ready, go. Hit the bass note. Strum. Now open A. C chord.
There it is.
And we're going to alternate. Now, instead of the last alternate, we're going to do another run. We're going to do the open D note, 2nd fret, and open again. And once you hit that open, strum the chord. So just that much again. We're starting from the D note. You hit the bass of the C note.
There it is.
Strum, open D, bass, 2nd fret, now open again, and that's the, and then you can alternate, yeah. And the last one, we're going back to the G, so to go back there you hit the open E, low 6, 2nd fret, then make the G chord. and hit the bass note. Let's do that from the D.
Chord.
It's okay. We'll do it from the D. So we're just going to hit the D bass note, strum the chord, and then go into the open E, second fret, third. Open D, bass note. Strum, low E, second fret. One more time, start with D. Open D, open, second fret. So I broke it down in a way that it's good to practice. You can practice just this much. And do that until it, until you can get it. Same thing with this. Just practicing the run between the chords. So now let's try putting it together. We'll go very slow.
Okay.
We'll start from the beginning. So just to be clear, we're going to start with a bass strum, alternate strum, bass strum, and then the run.
Run. Got it.
Here we go. Start with low G. Ready, go. Bass. Strum, alternate, and bass. Now here comes the run. Open A, B, and C chord. Alternate. Now the run. Open D, second fret. Open. Hit the open, yeah. And alternate. Low E. Good. Alternate.
Go.
So I'm ending like this. Whoops, that was the wrong bass.
There it is.
Like that.
So many strings.
One more time. We'll do it nice and slow. Here we
Okay.
go. Start with the G. Ready, go. G. Alternate. Back to G. Going up, bass run, open A. C chord. Alternate. Good. Yes. Open D. Second fret. Open. Yes. And low E string. Second fret, G. Alternate. Good.
Hey.
Good. So, this basic exercise will help you actually using bass notes through all the chords. First, learn it with a few chords. I've done this in the key of G. The key of G uses the main chords in the key of G are G, C, and D. What we would call the 1, 4, and 5 chords of that key. Don't worry if that's new. You could go through different keys and figure out the bass note for each of the keys. And then when you play a song in that key, you'll automatically have that at your fingertips. I would start with one, get reasonably competent at it, and you'll find going on to another key much easier once you can do it with one. So here's an example. I'm going to do the key of A. Whoops. Root, fifth. I'm going up bass notes. Now I'm going to the 5 chord. I got to alternate there. And back to E. That would be the key of E.
Oh, cool.
Now that strum can vary even more. So for example, the most obvious one, instead of just a straight down, you can go. Add a little more in between each of the strums. Then if you want to take it up another notch, we can even add a little more variety. Let's do it again.
Cool.
So start with the basics and you can apply it, keep adding little nuances to it. Are there any questions that we can answer for this week? I'm going to go on, and please go ahead and enter your questions, either about the training or just guitar playing in general. In the meantime, I'm going to go on to the drawing for this week. We have several entrants, and I'm using the famous hat again. This, by the way, is my alternate hat. This is number 1. This is number 2. And let's see who's won the drawing. By the way, the gift is a $25 Amazon gift card, and we'll send it to you either by email or by snail mail. And who's the winner for this week?
The winner is Roxanne G.
Roxanne G. Okay, and I happen to remember that. I know that's not the first time you've won. Congratulations,
Nice.
Roxanne. Good work for completing the practice sessions for the month of January, and I'm honored to have you as my student. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this training. I look forward to doing this again. We'll do it next Thursday, next month, first Thursday of the month. Look forward to seeing you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.